So one of the best things in my opinion about Division Day taking place a few weeks back is that we are finally starting to receive more information over the last 2 weeks than we probably have in the last 2 years. And I know that may sound dramatic, but chances are if you're a day one player like myself and have continued to play this game over that time, you know that's probably pretty accurate. Now the best thing is, YANNICK, who is the creative director over at the Division 2, continues to give interviews with different online publications, and today, my friends, we're going to go over one of the most recent ones and talk about some of the things he said we can look forward to in year 5. What's up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and last week I put out a few videos going over some of the highlights of the information YANNICK has shared with us about a few things we can look forward to seeing in year 5. And if you missed those videos, I will leave a link to them in the description down below. That way, if you choose to, you can check them out anytime you want. Now, the good thing is YANNICK continues to give these interviews, and chances are over the last few days you've probably seen other channels that cover the Division 2 talk about one specific interview he recently has given. And today, my friends, I wanted to take a few minutes and go over one specific aspect of that interview because in my opinion, it's something I'm really looking forward to see in year 5, and that is the complete revamp of what seasons are going to look like. Now you can see here, and really quick, just to be clear, I want to once again remind you, this is just a very small portion of the most recent interview, and if you want to check that whole interview out, I will leave a link to it down below. But you can see one of the questions was, we know it might be a little too early to talk about, but can you give us a tease on how the Division 2's Endgame will change in Season 4? And YANNICK responds by saying, we are looking at when you play the Division 2 and when you play a lot of very content-heavy life games that there's always that moment when you're a player, you start, you learn the game, you learn the tropes, you play the story, and then the endgame begins, and that's usually very daunting, and that suddenly the whole thing opens up and you get lost. The main ambition behind the change, the revamp, is to create an endgame that is going to be more welcoming to new players. So doing a better job in introducing new mechanics and introducing new modes and experiences, really trying to give purpose to each one of them. So it's not just I want gear so I can either play Countdown or play main missions, or I can play Manhunt and everything else that gives the same rewards. It's about trying to find ways that there's a reason why I would play this versus that, depending on what you're after. YANNICK finishes off by saying, in terms of cadence and how we are connecting all the seasons, you can expect a big overhaul of seasons with Season 4 and how seasons are built and how seasons are rewarding players. It's really about the general structure of it. Why do we come back to the game? What do you do when you come back? What kinds of rewards are you after? And really trying to have something that takes all of those pieces and reconnects them in a way that makes a bit more sense compared to what we have now. One thing I'd like to go over really quick before we talk about what YANNICK just said is the roadmap for year 5, and you can see it on screen right here. Now, starting with Season 1, which begins this June, we have the new game mode Descent being introduced into the game, we have the start of the castle rebuild, and we have an apparel event, and making our way to Season 2. We have incursions returning to the franchise. That is something from the first game. It is a lot of fun to play, so I'm looking forward to that, as I know many of you out there are as well. We have the continuation of the castle rebuild and another apparel event. Making our way to Season 3, it brings us back to New York. What that means in detail, we do not know as yet. We have the holiday event, which puts Season 3 towards the end of the year, another apparel event as well. And finally, my friends, at the beginning of next year, we will see Season 4, and that's where things really start to amp up in the game. We have the new story DLC, which will include new missions, new areas to explore. We have Seasons 2.0 and another apparel event. Now, I think it's safe to say that at this moment, many of you out there may be thinking that all of that stuff looks great. However, when you just look at it on paper, you're thinking, I have to wait until the beginning of next year to really get the bulk of that new content. And you are correct in that thought. However, what this video is focusing on is what this means for the future of the franchise. And I'm not just referring to the Division Resurgence or the Division Heartland, because keep in mind, while both of those games are part of the Division universe, they have nothing to do with each other except for certain story aspects, which we will see as we progress in those games. Now, getting back to this one, I happen to think that all of these signs are pointing us in the right direction of a third game being announced next March. And again, I'm speculating here, I have no idea, and please let me know what you think in the comments section down below. But honestly, I can't see why a game would want to take the time and resources to completely restructure its endgame if it didn't see a bigger, future on the horizon. Again, my friends, I could be wrong. This is what I'm hoping for, and let me know what you think. Now, as I start to wrap this video up, I want to once again bring up this portion of the interview where YANNICK talks about, why do we come back to the game? What do you want to do when you come back? What kind of rewards are you going to get? All of that stuff. And for me, and keep in mind when I say this, you know how much I love this game, but honestly, there are times where it's like, why am I going to play right now? Why do I want to log in? Obviously, I love this community and I will always continue to make these videos. But strictly speaking, as a gamer, and I know all of you out there can relate to this, you want that incentive to log back in. That's why certain game modes that get so much hype initially, there isn't that replayability and it slowly dies out. And for me, the fact that they are going to completely reinvent the end game and make actual things that we do not normally play in this game viable, in my opinion, is definitely a step in the right direction. One thing I always promised you at this channel, and it's something I've done and will continue to do here, is always give you my honest opinion of what's going on. I truly believe there is an amazing future for this game and I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you join me as well. On that note, I want to take a moment as always and thank you all for your incredible support of this channel, and remind you, if you happen to be new here, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button. If you enjoyed this, you could hit that like button as well, but most importantly, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone.